to another segment of Two Industry. Again, I'm Mike Games. This is Hill and Andrick.
He's got his fingers mixed up.
Yes. And we're going to actually, in this video, talk about
EA versus Ubisoft.
Yes, EA versus Ubisoft.
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 That's what I'm going to call them because they be soft.
Actually, they brought it more than EA, I think.
Isn't there a company called Neversoft too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they still in business?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
They're screaming at the screen like, "We're in business, motherfucker! We just haven't released shit in like 8 years."
But yeah, we'll start off with EA. It was actually, I think you could probably word it better.
Well, actually, I'll go first
Sure.
before Andrew. EA did EA things like they always do every fucking year. It's just a rehash of the same IP that they've been running
I'm gonna
into the
stop you
ground.
there and just say it was the worst conference of this whole fucking thing. It really was. It was horrible. Fuck yeah.
And that is why I wanted to
Fuck
lead
them up their asses. That's what you should say.
with no lube, no spit. No
Okay,
nothing.
I'm just gonna play devil's advocate.
No. There is no devil's advocate.
Yeah, they.
They
I actually have to agree with Andrick because
Agree with Andrew. Andrew agreed with me that they fucking sucked so bad
Oh,
that
now you're using it. Now you're using the
well, you
words.
were
Use your words.
no,
Fuck them.
no, I was being very thorough because I was like they're rehashing the same thing. They didn't really announce anything specific. You know, they just said everything was kind of a theory of what they could come out with. Now go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
well. I think the reason they did it is because they're labeled as the worst company out there, and I think they were.
So they're trying to
kinda-
remove all doubt by me.
Yeah, I think they wanted to kind of show their more human side. Like, hey, look, this is our behind the scenes.
Well, they
Get to
have
know us
a new
little bit
president,
more.
right?
Yeah.
And so they were trying to. I guess everybody wanted a Battlefront. Everybody wanted. It was like, are they going to do a Battlefront? Are we going to see gameplay? And it was just like, oh, we're working on it.
Which I think they showed more last year in that little
Yeah, that
cock
teaser
tease
trailer.
Yeah. And then they did this year. This year they were like, oh yeah, there's stormtroopers and there's
Obviously, there are Star Wars things in the Star Wars universe. Hey, go figure.
I think the one that really pissed me off was that they didn't show anything except
I would have liked
you know,
to see an attempted date or a year, something. Maybe even a longer trailer.
yeah.
Even if it was just a longer trailer, I would have been happy. Just something.
Which I don't think they showed any trailers or anything except for their sports games.
I can't remember.
I think that's all. It was just their FIFA, Madden,
In their sports
UFC,
games, all they did was show the trailers from the game last year.
which even then, they didn't even show trailers. Except I think they really showed stuff for FIFA and UFC. Oh, and NHL, I guess.
Yeah.
The
15,
thing that bothers me about EA is that okay, because they're a publisher, right? And their whole business dynamic is to buy smaller developers to have a new IP so they can make more money, right? But their problem is that they go with the old developers that they've had for such a long time and just run them into the ground and run them into the ground.
That's what worries me about BioWare because they were one of my favorites.
Right, exactly, and that's what they're going to do with this other maybe. Well, BioWare did say that they're going to come out with something else, right?
Yeah,
other
I
than
think they
Mindset.
did mention Dragon Age in the
Yeah.
EA thing.
So
Right.
Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yeah, which I'm somewhat hesitant, but looking forward to.
It looked awesome.
I really like the first Dragon Age.
No, they're good games.
Yeah,
Dragon Age-
the second one was horrible, but the first one was really good.
It wasn't that bad.
It was horrible.
No, I just
Horrible. You don't know what you're talking
No,
about.
I have a PhD.
Shut your mouth hole.
I have a PhD.
Shut your mouth
I have a
hole.
PhD in video games.
Shut up when you're talking to me.
You got player hate and agree.
Mirror's Edge 2.
I was excited to see gameplay about that.
Yeah.
Actually, even though it was kind of a demo and what they wanted to do,
That's all it was.
It looks like what I wanted out of a Mirror's Edge game.
Yeah.
I like what's her name, Fate.
Right.
So it didn't seem like they were adding guns, which I was kind of afraid of. I thought they were gonna make it a shooter.
Right.
Yeah.
It seems like they were actually keeping true to the identity of Mirror's Edge, which again I don't think it's gonna sell a lot of games, but to EA's cause, I'm glad that they're kind of keeping it true to to that nature.
And I
of that
think a
game.
lot of people don't know about Mirror's Edge. That's why it may not sell. And so that's actually why I think their whole conference sucked. Was they didn't show much. I wish they would have shown more Mirror's Edge because I mean it had front stage there at E3, and they didn't really show.
Well, I think everybody at E3 knows Mirror's Edge.
Yeah.
It's about promoting that game beyond E3,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Because we all know about it.
And all the really casual fans, I mean, they're going to get their information from the folks that would attend E3 or folks like ourselves
Right.
anyway. So if Mirror's Edge was such a powerful game, we would, share that game with casual fans.
Right.
So it's really a test to was it really that great? Was it like really such a great game?
It's parkour in an Apple store. Who doesn't think that's great? I'm just joking, but like seriously, it's a really good game. I really do think it was a good game.
Okay.
I mean, it was innovative, and it opened this universe. Gosh, it just wasn't promoted right. I just feel it wasn't promoted right. And
Nothing
EA has,
in EA was promoted right to C3.
well, I mean, their sports games are always promoted.
Yeah.
I
mean,
not.
When you throw Bruce Lee up there, and it's like, oh, it's Bruce Lee in a UFC game. That's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, because the biggest criticism of that is like, because Bruce Lee has his own martial arts form, right? And they didn't. It was just a skin on top of a character. It wasn't like
No,
his
it
form and
had
fighting.
his form.
No, actually, it didn't. Like they showed it. They were like, he was just a regular UFC guy. It was just Bruce Lee's skin, and he didn't have like his actual like, Jeet Kune Do. I think his
Jeet Kune Do.
yeah, Jeet Kune Do like form. He was just kind of there.
because you didn't go.
Yeah, they might as well just fucking put Muhammad Ali in there and just do UFC as well.
That stupid joke. What's Bruce Lee's favorite drink?
Wow.
Water.
God damn it.
Yeah. So, anyways, with that being said, they sort of announced a new Mass Effect.
They did the same thing like they did Battlefield. It was like, hey,
Yeah.
do you
We're
like
working on
Mass Effect?
something.
Here's some art from Mass Effect.
Could you imagine like if somebody drew something with a crayon? And, look, this is our new Mass Effect coming.
Like, hey, it's coming. No date, no year, no
it's,
nothing.
it's drawn on the napkin. Well, this is our idea.
We have talked about it.
It's patented.
Which I'm surprised. I mean, because I have heard that they've shown in-game trailer, like in-house trailers of the new Mass Effect, and people that's seen the trailers have been blown away.
Oh,
Really
really?
disappointed
wow.
that they didn't
Even
show
a teaser
anything.
trailer would have
Yeah.
been awesome.
But they didn't show. If
Anything.
that wasn't their sports games, they didn't show shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, EA I think really sucked. I mean, they did show the Dragon Age Inquisition, like we were saying. But yeah, it was mainly just their. Oh, The Sims. They did show and talk a little bit more about The Sims 4.
That's a huge seller for them. You know, the games that they show and they showed gameplay for, they're huge sellers for them. It's not my type of game. I'm not a huge Sims person. People love that game. Sometimes, and some people don't know this, that's the only game that they buy a year is either a Sims game or a sports game. It's the one game that they actually buy. So yeah, of course they're going to promote those, but again, it's not. I think the E3 audience wasn't the audience for those type of games. Just my personal opinion.
Maybe that's why they didn't, showcase or promote it so much because they were like, well,
They did show The Sims. They showed
Yeah.
quite a bit of it.
I meant like other games because they probably felt like
They should have shown more of the other games.
Yeah, they should have shown
because
more
that would have been their
Battlefront.
audience to get them excited about that.
EA sucked. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they totally did.
And well, whatever. Like this is how I feel about EA. It's like they have their plan on what they're going to do. They never really have any unique IPs anymore. Like everything is just very the same.
Well, they
Well,
should
they
know
do.
their audience, right? Any place you go into anywhere and you do a conference, you know your audience.
Right.
And their audience is obviously those games they just kind of teased about. Like they should have talked more about.
I mean,
Or-
like if you want to give an example, like 2K, they know their audience as well. They really want to Grand Theft Auto, but they go around and try these other IPs that do well. Like heck, they took on the Batman trilogy. Yeah, I'm just totally disregarding Origin. Yeah, they took on the Batman trilogy and it's paid off very well for them because they're able to. They're not afraid to try out new things, and it
Yeah.
just seems like EA just.
Well, that's the thing though. They did announce a new IP.
What was the name of it?
That's what I'm saying. They said we're working on all this type of stuff, but
And well, it technically wasn't really EA. It was like BioWare that was like, okay, we're coming out with this game because we're
well, it was the
BioWare.
same
We
with
like to think
Mass
differently,
Effect.
right?
There
And
was
that's
a-
how they did
there
Mass
was a
Effect.
weird driving game, right? That they showed off. Where it was like ATVs and
Yeah, I think that was the one of their new IPs that they
yeah,
said.
and they were just like, we're working on a game. We have a name, and here's some pre-footage of it.
Yeah,
It was like it was from I think it was Drive Club. No, not Drive Club.
No.
One of the
No.
other driving games.
but
Anyways.
I don't know it.
Ubisoft definitely impressed me a lot more.
Ubisoft.
They at least
Ubisoft.
they at least had gameplay footage. I mean, Assassin's Creed Unity looked amazing. I think just four-person co-op is gonna work really well, and I hope it plays into
4-person
this.
stabbing.
That's awesome. That's Spider-Man.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
No, this is Spider-Man. But when they stab someone,
Oh yeah.
That's a high five.
Here you go.
I think that's too small for me.
But
They were very small back then, really.
yeah, they were.
But yeah, what were you saying?
We're about to pull off Luke Skywalker, get handed the most powerful weapon in the world, and look straight. But yeah, Assassin's Creed Unity looked really amazing. I'm really impressed. I mean, I know they come out with a new Assassin's Creed every year, but I'm okay with it because other than the little small snag with 3,
Small.
And they promoted the shit out of that game. I'll never forget that.
I'm glad they're
Four-
back in Europe. I really am because I was really getting tired of the Americas and the sea thing and all that. Even though the third one, the fourth, whatever
yeah,
this
fourth one
was fine, it was better. This one does seem like they're going more towards Ezio. At least I hope they are.
I am really surprised that they're not branching off into like Asia and Africa, like South America. Like, there's so much potential.
Well, they can.
There's so much potential what they could possibly do because it's entirely different environments as well. And if you put that gameplay in, say, like a jungle, that would be like awesome.
Yeah, it's called Far Cry.
Well, they made Far Cry,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
right?
So good segue.
Well, they did. I mean, kind of in 4. I mean, it was on islands,
Right, it was in the Caribbean.
Yeah,
Right.
so there were
On-
islands and jungles and stuff like that. So
Well, okay. How about in like the Indie mountains?
that's Far Cry.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, the Far Cry.
I don't
4.
remember that
It's like
part.
the Himalayas or something
Yeah, the
like
Himalayas.
Is that where they are?
Yeah,
No.
and you get to apparently command elephants, so that's why I brought up Far Cry 4.
But does he have the hood?
that. In Far Cry, it's first-person shooter.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so you
so
can't see. So it's
You
not
could
Assassin's
use your
Creed.
imagination.
I don't want to use my imagination when I'm playing games.
That's what the video games are for.
If I wanted to use my imagination, I'd read a fucking book.
And that's gonna probably be my next game that I'm gonna get. That's a first-person game. It's
Far-
Far Cry 4.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed Far Cry 3. I loved Blood Dragon. So,
And you don't have things biting at your ankles and trying to figure out where it is so you can shoot
that was my gripe with Far Cry 3, but I'm still gonna probably get Far Cry 4. I mean, this villain isn't as scary as the villain from
it.
the
Right.
third one.
No, he was
seems-
psycho.
Yeah, and actually, I think it was announced Troy Baker is actually the voice of the new villain.
No way. Troy Baker, the
What?
voice of something?
In the video game? No, he's awesome though. One little snippet that since we're talking about Far Cry, I was playing Watch Dogs the other night,
I'm sorry.
and and I walked into an arcade, and in one of the arcade games was Far Cry Blood Dragon.
Oh,
As
really?
one of the arcade games.
Oh, nice.
That's kinda cool.
Kind of cool. Shout out.
Oh, and actually, now that you brought that up, in the Super HD Ultra Remix, whatever,
Dead Rising.
Dead Rising, there you actually walk in and could find old Capcom.
Oh, that's
arcade
cool.
games. Yeah, actually, with Watch Dogs, I don't know if I sent you a picture, but I know I took a picture of the Blood Dragon. That was
Ah.
really cool. And then there's Just Dance.
Just
know, those
Dance
are really
it's
popular
It's
games.
a huge seller for
Girls.
teenage girls.
No, we're talking about teenage girls.
So-
We're not talking about like gamer girls. Sorry, guys.
So you're getting it, right, Hill?
Hell yeah, I'm all over that shit. And I'm gonna
It's
get
a
a
great date game.
I'm gonna get a nice push-up bra to
Wanna
go along
dance?
with. They should
Just
sell like a push-up. They should sell like a push-up bra with every Just Dance.
Oh,
Oh, boom, boom! Take that, Ubisoft.
And yeah, I mean the they finally actually talked about The Crew a little bit more.
Right.
So
That
I know that was a game you were
man,
really
I was
looking forward
like,
to.
that is the game because
I
I've
don't remember that. I don't remember them talking
Really?
about that.
really because it's like I've always wanted like a very thorough bank heist game where you could like go in, plot everything, bust out, and try to get the fuck away from cops, and then they give you the option as playing as the cop so you could bust other people too.
Wasn't that the other game, Battlefield?
Uh,
Battlefield Heist or whatever it is?
No, you're thinking of D Heist.
No, Battlefield
Yeah, it was the new
4,
Battlefield.
where it was
Well,
like a heist,
Well, there is a game
Where-
called like The
where
Heist.
it's like the game that like they stole like $1 million, but they did $2 billion of damage trying to get away.
Yeah,
Like, anyways, yeah, I guess it's the same type of concept, right? It's a heist.
Well, this one you're like you can either like propel out like it's so many ways of you just gotta get the job done, but there's so many ways that you can do the job or something like that. So it's gonna be really interesting, and you can play as cop or the robbers.
Yeah, I think that the Battlefield was the same way.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, how about we just go and fucking buy that? Fuck Ubisoft. You know who made Battlefield?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's play that, Andrew. How about you buy it?
Maybe their servers will work.
and they did announce 2 Tom Clancy games.
Yeah.
The Division, which actually looks really awesome. I'm kind of excited for that one.
Really?
Yeah, it looked really cool.
Have you
Kind
ever?
of
I've never seen you play a Tom Clancy game.
I have played Splinter Cell Conviction.
Oh, okay.
I think that's probably the only
Really?
one I've played, but still, I have played one.
Because I've played a lot of them, and it's like, yeah, it just feels and smells like Tom Clancy. You know, I've never read any of his books. It's just kind of interesting.
I love all these games: Splinter Cell, Rainbow Six,
Which they announced. Rainbow
Division.
Six.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't read it, but I'm sure it seems like a game right up my alley.
I've heard they're thinking about. Well, they are going to reboot Splinter Cell, so that's going to be interesting. I'm sure,
Yeah.
but they didn't mention anything about that. That's what I thought. Was.
No.
They should reboot it. I think they've been trying to.
It's because Metal Gear Solid is so far ahead. They're discouraged.
Yeah, I mean, the last Splinter Cell wasn't that great though. I mean, I was really looking forward to it. I even played like half of it. It just
Because they went away from their framework, you know,
They
of,
did.
like they were intense sneaking, like no, like
yeah, you could shoot out
cinematics and
lights
stuff.
and all that stuff, and
Do the
but
splits
now
and
it was
shit.
just so it's like in the daylight, and
right,
it just took away from the whole sneaking part of it. So.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think because they changed like a couple of developers
I'm sure.
during that time period. That's why.
But I think that's rounds up pretty much a
Uh,
lot of that was.
yeah, there was
mentioned.
a World War II game or World War
Oh,
One game.
that's right.
Valiant Hearts, which I mean, I give props to Aisha Tyler. I mean, from showing that preview of that game to going back and trying to do an upspin of everything we talked about. I mean, good, that segue she did was amazing. So
Right.
if you're watching this, great job on that.
She probably is. She's not busy right now.
And
Boom!
Gonna do anything on E.
actually, yeah, that's right. That World War One game did look pretty
One
awesome.
thing about Ubisoft is that they do the indie games kind of thing.
well, Child of Light.
Child of Light.
Yeah, I actually until the other day that I was playing, I didn't even realize it was a Ubisoft game. I
Right.
thought it was an indie developer. I'm like, wait a minute, Ubisoft Studios,
Yeah.
and yeah, they do definitely do those smaller
And
games.
that's
Yeah, because
what-
what's interesting about Ubisoft is like they will develop a lot of their own games, which is the old school way of doing games, where EA just buys a bunch of people and run them into the ground. So I think that's very unique about them. Did 2K do anything? Any other publishers? Well, I forgot their name again. Like the indie publisher. I love what they're doing. That's
one?
amazing. It's
Devolver or whatever.
Devolver, right? Like
That
they're
was for Sony.
are they exclusive to Sony? No, because they're just an indie publisher.
It's their development company, right? Like so, like Xbox has ID, independent
Right.
games, ID at Microsoft or ID at Xbox.
Yeah,
Then Devolver is like their indie.
yeah, I did Xbox.
Well, even then, like just it's still like an indie publisher because what they do is go and buy up all these indie games
Yeah.
and they like put it through the system, and it's like, and there's some very clever
Oh yeah.
IPs that they have. Like they have some very
I
clever
was
stuff,
really proud of both companies actually that they went the indie route
right?
and they had this little segment. It was 5 or 10 minutes of them showing of indie games.
Right.
And yeah, that's another thing about Microsoft. They could have easily done and said something about their summer of indie games, which they've always done.
That's right.
They didn't even mention it this year.
There's Summer of Arcade
Yeah,
also.
Summer of Arcade, which
Yeah.
they didn't even they could have talked about.
You know where
So,
Devolver's
fuck you,
ba-
Microsoft.
Do you know where Devolver's headquarters is? Austin, Texas.
Is it?
Yeah.
Nice. Let's go there.
Yeah, we're gonna go there after this. So if y'all guys want to ride, drive your fucking self.
But that just about rounds out our segment. So we talked about earlier Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo's conference, and now EA and Ubisoft.
Versus.
Ubisoft.
Yes. So
So EA, you lose again.
exactly. Screw you, EA. But with that being said, catch you guys later.